Hi, I'm Rob Levin, co-founder of Work Better Now, and today I'm really thrilled to be joined by Karen Kerrigan. Karen is the president and CEO of the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council. Karen, I'm so happy to have you on the show today. We've known each other for quite a while, and I've been wanting to have you on the show for quite some time. I'm really happy that you're joining us here today.
Well, it's great to be with you, Rob. That's right. We're not only survivors but thrivers,
That's right.
right? Over the last, I would say, 25 to 30 years. I mean, I've
It's
known
been a
you.
while. Yeah.
It's been a while, and a lot has changed during that time, and it's great to know you and honored to be on this podcast and just see you just doing extremely well in all your iterations, so your next careers. So I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you, Karen. Karen, let's jump right in. Tell us about the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council. What is it? What do you guys do?
You bet. And so the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council, SBE Council, we are an advocacy, research, and education organization dedicated to promoting entrepreneurship, protecting small business. And for nearly 30 years now, we have worked on a range of initiatives, private sector, public policy initiatives, all aimed towards strengthening the ecosystem for startup activity and small business growth. So, most of our work here is domestic. I mean, we're in Washington, D.C. We work on a range of policy issues that impact small business and provide educational resources on starting and growing your business. But also we've done a lot internationally as well in terms of helping other countries and the leaders of those countries, build and create environments that enable startup activity and small business growth. So we represent small business and we focus on small business issues, and it never ends. Let's just say that, Rob. We've always been busy over the last 30 years. There's never been a dull moment in terms of the work that we've done and being here and doing what I've done for 30 years now.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into that in just a minute in terms of those things that are keeping you busy. Karen, tell us a little bit about how you got into this. How did you get into the space? What did you do before?
Well, I've always been interested in politics and policy and business, and where all of those issues interrelate and transact. So when I graduated from college, my last semester I was a senior. I was an intern on Capitol Hill, so I worked in the whole policy space. I loved it, and I didn't stay in Washington. I left, but I always really, really had this passion, for policy and issues. So I did a range of things over the years, working in fundraising organizations, doing fundraising, building organizations. And then, one day I decided I was in Chicago, Illinois, and I just said, I miss policy. I miss Washington. I'm going to go back to Washington, D.C. And I did in early 1990. And from there, really got right into the whole policy arena and was given the opportunity to start SBE Council. I've always, again, been very interested in policy and the public's engagement in policy, the democratic process, keeping government accountable. And I grew up in a small town with lots and lots of small business owners. They were my best friends and my best friends' fathers and mothers. And so that all sort of came together as things do in life, right? Your training and what you've done meets opportunity. And that happened in Washington, D.C., where I had a group of entrepreneurs who wanted to start or for someone to start an alternative organization focused on entrepreneurs and small businesses. And I sort of came up with the business plan, the game plan. The time was right. And that's how it all came together, Rob. And it's been an interesting ride. That's the Reader's Digest version. The
The rest of
longer
us have to,
version.
we're going to have to wait for the book, I guess. Right.
Yes, yeah, that's the Reader's. A lot of interesting things in between, but in the end, I really, sort of always wanted to do politics and policy, and have been able to do that, and have been honored to represent entrepreneurs and small businesses in this space because they need a voice. And when they get involved, I see things happen, and I very much care, about small businesses and entrepreneurship. So government impacts business in, many, many, many ways, some of them not too good. And so that's what's kept me in this space for 30 years is just the excitement of the work, the passion for what I do, and just still waking up every morning very excited about doing what I do for small businesses and entrepreneurs.
Right. I really appreciate something you said, that you said something to the effect of how you're honored to be representing small businesses. It's such a cool thing to hear because depending on how you count, there's 5 million businesses with employees in the country, maybe 30 million when you factor in everybody who has a Schedule C, and that probably includes people with side hustles. And it's not a big voting block at the end of the day. And they certainly don't vote just, based on their interest in business. And it just seems to me, the big companies have their lobbyists, and who's out there looking for all of these small businesses, which you and I will certainly agree are probably among the heroes of the country, right? And a lot of what this country was based on. So it's this person right here, this business owner really appreciates you, Karen, as I always have.
Well, thank you very much. And you're right. I think it's more important than ever that the voice of small business and entrepreneurs continues to be heard in Washington, D.C. And there are a lot of things that work against that in terms of the very complex and hard to understand regulatory process. And there's a lot of regulations being proposed and pumped through the system as we speak, Rob, and things happening on Capitol Hill, tax, regulation, trade, all those issues, healthcare. I mean, all the pain points, access to capital issues, all the pain points of small business owners. There's legislation and regulation being considered, proposed, every day that impacts, all those issues. So, and you're right. If it wasn't for small businesses and entrepreneurs, we wouldn't have the job creation, we wouldn't have the innovation, we wouldn't have the vibrancy, right, in our economy. I mean, entrepreneurs are the center of our economy. And so I'm honored to do what I do, but every day I work to tell government and Congress, you have to honor this important constituency as well through policy and legislation, because without them, our country would be a mess, economically speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you again for that. So I'm going to, I guess, put you on the spot a little bit. So like you, I know probably thousands of business owners. And one of the things that I think many of them have in common is, and certainly the better ones, is they tend to focus on what they can control, which is a really good ability to have. So, and then you look at the political process, particularly at the federal level, right? And as a taxpayer, as a citizen, you say, I can't control this, so why should I even care? I'll just wait to see what laws happen, and I'll react accordingly. So what's your take on that? What's your feedback on that?
Well, I think business owners and entrepreneurs, and I agree with you, Rob, because I do hear that, from small business owners every day. And they really do underestimate their power and influence. Okay. And so, our job is to get them engaged, to keep them engaged, and then have them speak in numbers and in volume in order to have the impact that we want to have on policy. And I have to say, over the last 30 years, I've seen even individual entrepreneurs and small business owners come to Washington, D.C. I brought them to the White House, brought them to regulatory agencies, had them testify on Capitol Hill, and have a huge impact, even just 1, 2, or 3 of them, a huge impact on policy. Because many of them, and I tell individual business owners and entrepreneurs, you're not only the face of your business, but you're the face of so many small business owners in terms of what they're experiencing, in terms of their challenges and their opportunities. So when you speak and when you get involved and when you get engaged, it does matter. And again, time and again, I've seen so many amazing things happen when business owners and entrepreneurs do stay engaged. And also, we talk about small business, right? And the Gallup survey came out again in terms of the number one trusted institution in this country. And I know for years it's been either the military or small business. Small business is a block, right? And
Right.
small business is number one. So, every member of Congress says, "Oh, I love small business," and they wear the small business flag during election day. Well, it's business owners and entrepreneurs working through groups like us and individually that are really holding them accountable. And again, each entrepreneur and business owner their voice is extremely powerful. And if so, I know you're right. It's like they want to focus on what they can control, but if they don't get involved, guess what? Government's going to control them and control their business. So that's what we tell business owners and entrepreneurs. And it's a never-ending fight, Rob. So I can understand why they feel that, particularly in periods right now where we're having a lot of negative regulatory activity in the agencies that's really working to undermine entrepreneurship and small business. But this is where everyone's really got to lean in and get engaged and sort of fight some of these negative proposals and push back. And I think we will be successful. But I'm the optimist. I'm always the optimist in the room.
You have to be with what you do. And you always have been. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. So we don't have 3 days to talk about this, but I'm going to ask you now, what are the key issues at the federal level? Because really what we're talking about predominantly is at the federal level. And I just want to say, and if you have anything to add to it, business owners, there's plenty going on at the state and perhaps a local level for you as well, that issues that are affecting your business. I know we see it all the time on the local level. There seem to be so many laws passed now related to employment at the state and local level. And we have more and more companies coming to us because we, of course, we provide talent from overseas for US based small businesses. We see more and more business owners just saying, it's so hard. They're making it so hard for me to hire locally. But let's just focus on the key federal issues right now. What are some of the top issues that are happening at the federal level right now that are affecting small business?
Yes, I'll just sort of focus on the key issues because, as you know, we could be here for not only 3 days, but probably a year, talking about everything. But, we have to be practical, Rob, in terms of, setting our agenda, and where we spend our time. We do have a split Congress. Republicans control the House, Democrats control the Senate, and we've got, a Democrat in the White House. So we're playing offense and defense, on key issues. I mean, the one big thing that we are focusing on each and every day, and a lot of issues that business owners don't even hear about, is just the regulatory threat, that's happening in the regulatory agencies. For example, the Department of Labor, is going to be, has proposed and will be proposing a variety of regulations that impact small businesses, from changing the whole independent contractor rule to make it very, very difficult for self-employed people and business owners to be independent contractors, to the joint employer standard, which would totally disrupt the franchise model in this country, to the overtime rule. The list goes on and on. Just at the DOL alone, the Department of Labor, because of the power of the labor union sector and with the current administration. So they're using this opportunity to push through a lot of rules that will be very costly for small business and very damaging for entrepreneurship in this country. So you take the DOL, and then there's other agencies as well. The Federal Trade Commission is doing a lot on the merger and acquisition front to make it really could disrupt the whole startup ecosystem in this country and make it very difficult for startups to raise money, from investors, and then hopefully build their business and sell it. I mean, a lot of them, that's their goal, right? To take that business, grow it, scale it, sell it. Well, if they totally upend the M&A system in this country, it'll be very, very hard for startups to pursue, that dream.
Well,
So
is that because it's going to be harder for them to raise capital because venture capitalists are going to be worried about a successful exit? Am I connecting the dots properly here, or am I missing?
you're connecting the dots. Basically, the FTC will make it very they're challenging, a lot of acquisitions of large companies. I mean, and so right now you've got the process is taking a really long time too, a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. And at the end of the day, the FTC may say, well, no, we don't think this is a good, we're not gonna let this happen. We're gonna deny, this acquisition. So if you've got that type of environment, you're not going to have investors investing in, they're going to grow, but they're not going to, they're not going to,
They're not going to exit
there's going to be
successfully.
uncertainty as whether they're going to be able to sell that
Right.
business and really, really make the type of returns that you would when you scale and sell, right? To a big company. So that's a big piece. So, and then, there's a lot of regulatory activity at other agencies that we're working on as well. In the Congress, again, we have to sort of be practical. So there is, you've got some tax measures right now that do have bipartisan support that we have to push over the finish line, or that we think they do, unless, something crazy happens in the Congress, which it always can. For example, one big tax incentive that expired last year was the research and development tax credit that allowed immediate expensing of research and development expenses. And that basically went away. And you have many companies that use that R&D tax credit and that expensing and that don't even know about this. So this is going to be very costly to, particularly a lot of the innovative firms in this country. And we've done a lot of surveying on this, and the costs are very high. You have a lot of small businesses that said, this new tax bill can put me out of business. So there seems to be some bipartisan support for reinstating that R&D tax credit, hopefully making it permanent so we don't have to deal with this uncertainty in the future. And then there's other tax provisions too that we're working on. A lot of the things that expire as part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the 20%, small business deduction, some other expensing provisions, Section 179 expensing. These things have to be fixed, or else it's going to be very damaging to small business. And I would argue that uncertainty is happening now, which is causing a lot of pulling back of investment in hundreds of thousands of businesses across the country. So those are just a few of the things. Healthcare is the perennial issue. There's some good issues moving through the House right now. I testified before Congress a couple of months ago on some pretty decent healthcare provisions, clarifying the rules, allowing small businesses to pool, to basically have better options and more affordable options in healthcare, and a range of other things that are happening on the healthcare front. Access to capital issues, and again, a lot of the regulatory stuff that's happening as we speak. The Republicans in the Congress are sort of pushing back and saying, well, we're going to, once these rules become final, we want to do a resolution of disapproval for these regulations. So we're very supportive of that. Not that we're a Republican or a Democrat organization. We're a nonpartisan organization, but we just sort of go with what small businesses and what our members say. And again, there's some opportunities of what Republicans are doing in the House to have Democrats support some of those things over on the Senate side as well. Maybe it's not robust in terms of tax cuts or regulatory relief, but it beats going backwards and imposing more costs and uncertainties on small businesses.
Right. Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you for that. I guess that's really an update. And I think for a lot of people, it's eye-opening in terms of it's not just the things that you're going to read on the headlines in terms of what's going on in Congress that could affect small business. But as you said, a lot of the regulatory issues, which are not congressional issues, these are happening at an agency level. And again, as I said earlier, we're not even getting into the state and local issues, which I think is sometimes could be even a greater number of issues affecting small businesses in even a bigger way. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but certainly
Oh,
if
no.
you're in a place like I am in New York.
Just, yes, all the likely states, right? New York,
Right.
California, Illinois, New Jersey. Yes, I mean we're definitely very familiar with what is happening in those states, and conversely, all the good stuff that's happening in other states in order to attract the businesses, the capital, the people, right? Because they're providing that sort of low cost political or regulatory and tax environment, that's very enticing, to many businesses and investors who live in those
Yep.
high tax, high cost, high regulatory states.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. And believe me, I feel it. I feel the pain personally.
I
Uh,
know.
Karen, if somebody wants to get involved if a business owner wants to get involved in, um, you know, making their cause with the federal government, how do they do that?
Well, I would please visit our website, sbecouncil.org, sign up for our Small Business Insider newsletter, and that's for free. And you'll see, the opportunities to get involved with SBE Council, because we regularly do, go out to our members and to our grassroots supporters, and we draw directly from that pool, to find, the right people who can speak on issues, whether it's retail, technology, manufacturing, whatever the issue might be. We do count on sort of our pool of members and our grassroots supporters, to get directly involved on issues. But there's other simple things that they can do. I mean, you do have members of the House and members of the Senate who who do regular town hall meetings, who and promote those meetings back home. Not all of them may be in person. There may be some virtual opportunities, but you do have to show up and be present and make your voice known at those at those meetings, and really get to know. It's pretty easy, believe it or not, to get to know your U.S. House member because once an individual speaks up or becomes involved, writes a letter to the editor, maybe writes an op-ed, talks to the local media about an issue. I mean, these are things that members of Congress follow on a regular basis. So, that's another way that they can become involved. But I think, there's other organizations like SBE Council that we're a conduit and that provide opportunities to file comments before regulatory agencies. We try to make it very easy to do that, providing templates and what to do, and here is how you do it, and here's the button that you push, in order to make your voice heard. And you just have to look for the opportunities. And again, SBE Council, or even folks can contact us, and we can give you a list of other groups that we work with on a coalition basis, whether you're a franchisor with the International Franchise Association, with the retailers, with the florist, you name it. We know every single association in town. We've worked with them for many years. And, sometimes working directly, with your specific industry association is the way to go. And other times working with broad-based business groups like SBE Council is the way to go. So but it's being aware, just sort of getting the information that we push out and looking for those opportunities. And it's very important that people do this. I'm telling you, it's just, and it works. Once small business owners get involved and engaged, I've seen miracles happen up on Capitol Hill, and we've had a lot of successes over the years, and our setbacks have been temporary, but we keep pushing forward, and it's only because of the strength of business owners and entrepreneurs and their willingness to step up and speak.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Karen. So I can imagine, I can't imagine, but if I tried to imagine on what your day and your week and your month is like dealing with Capitol Hill and the regulatory agencies fighting on behalf of small business. You probably need some time off. So when you're not working, Karen, what do you like to do?
So I'm not working about how AI, artificial intelligence regulation might impact small business or
Right. All
the
all of those.
metaverse and all these. Yeah, yeah, we didn't even touch on all those other issues, but it falls under the big umbrella of regulation. There's a lot of things I like to do. I'm very involved with my local business association, the Vienna Business Association. I'm on the board. I'm also the chair of the Health, Wellness, and Fitness Committee. So we do a lot of things to promote the businesses that are involved in health, wellness, and fitness in that space in order to make a more healthy, well, and fit and mentally healthy community. And I think this is something that can be replicated throughout the country. So, I'm looking at, sort of pushing myself further into this health and wellness space, but I very much enjoy being involved locally. And I do a lot, again, with the local business association. I love running. I run almost every day. I love playing tennis. I love playing golf. I love hiking. Everything outdoors, anything and everything outdoors. If people say, "Oh, do you want to go for a hike?" or "Who's up for this? Who wants to go boating or paddle boarding?" That's me. So yes, in my spare time, I spend a lot of time moving, exercising, and staying fit, mentally fit. Also by reading and spending time with my family. I love doing that. My three kids, they're fabulous, and I love to travel. So, and I try to squeeze all that stuff in, together. I bundle all those activities, Rob, when I am traveling, the fitness and all that. So, that's what I like to do. And I guess if I had to retire from this space, that's what I would be focusing on is what can I do to sort of, there's a lot of money and I think being wasted on helping people be well and healthy, and we still got a problem. There's a disconnect. There's some type of disconnect, right? So that's where I'd like to spend my time in the future. Maybe I'm just sort of a frustrated phys ed teacher or something. I don't know, but
Well, I totally agree with you that there's we definitely have some disconnects in terms of being healthy, state of mind, and all of that. That quite frankly, in my opinion, not that I'm a doctor, but going outdoors and just moving around could probably solve a whole bunch of problems.
Well,
But
exactly.
that's a discussion for another time because that's another one that we could probably spend a year talking about.
Absolutely. And I'm very, as I said, that's what we're doing at the local level with, the Health, Wellness, and Fitness Committee and the Get Healthy Vienna effort that we put together in a huge expo. It was very successful. And yeah, so that sort of spawned a bunch of new business ideas in my head, which I think I will be launching in the next 6 months. My little side business, my little side hustle.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to hearing about that. Karen, before we wrap up, there's something you said that I just want you to quickly touch upon, if you don't mind. You mentioned AI and Congress, and I know we're really excited about AI and what it could do for small business. Tell us a little bit about the government side of it, the government where government meets small business and AI. Tell us just a little bit about what's going on there.
Well, on the AI, but also the whole immersive technology front, right? I mean, I talk with business owners every day and those who are involved with immersive tech that have used immersive technology, in terms of training, in terms of marketing, just a lot of really positive things that have been benefits for their business. And then of course we have artificial intelligence, and you have many businesses, small business owners who don't even know they may be using AI tools, but they are. And so with this next iteration of the internet, the metaverse, immersive tech, along with this next wave of technological innovation, artificial intelligence, there just seems to be a lot of scare tactics. We've heard a lot of the scary stuff by the so-called experts about how damaging this will be and how bad it is, and mankind is on a path to destruction and all of that. And we're like, well, wait a minute. I mean, but Rob, we've been here before, and this is what what we are telling policymakers. It's like, we've been around for 30 years. And so when the internet first emerged, we heard the same thing. We heard businesses are going to go out of business. We heard this is going to be really bad. And look what happened, right? I mean, so yeah, not everything's perfect with the internet and with broadband and social media and all that. But I'd say largely it's been good. It's been great for small business. And this is what we are trying to talk about to policy leaders as well. On before you hyper regulate this whole space, number one, the US has to be the global leader in this space. We have to be the innovators. There are small innovators who are doing all this stuff, by the way, right? Not the big guys. And that if you want China or Russia or other countries to lead on this, then yeah, take this heavy-handed regulatory approach and squash out, all the innovative things that are happening in this country. But, you've got to step back, breathe, listen to the experts, listen to small businesses on this. And that's where we are right now. And actually, we have a lot of leadership meetings this week with Democrats and Republicans on sort of the small business view on AI, both as consumers and users of AI tools, but also as innovators in this space. So that it's a fascinating time. And we could spend 3 days on this issue, right? And all the things that we're doing. But I would say it's sort of symbolic of what SBE Council does. We really do focus on these emerging issues, and we're there first. And this is one of these issues that we're leading on with a couple other organizations to make sure that these new innovative tools that we know will be beneficial for consumers and for small businesses make it to market. And and there's a lot of space for investment and innovation moving forward.
Great. Thank you for that. Karen, before I forget, thank you so much for everything that you do and you've done for the past 30 or so years for small businesses. It's been awesome watching you. You've been getting the newsletter for years and really appreciate it. Karen, if somebody wants to learn a little bit more about you or the council, how can they do that?
Well, they can visit our website, sbecouncil.org, and sign up for our e-newsletter, Small Business Insider. We're on all the social media handles at SBE Council, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Can follow us on those sites as well. But really the best way is to sign up for our e-newsletter, and just email is still sort of a great communication tool. Don't you agree, Rob?
It still works. Yep.
Still works great. I would say it's for many small businesses like us, it's probably one of the best ways to communicate. So please do that. And we love ideas. We love hearing from small business owners. We love their ideas, their thoughts, and you'll have the opportunity to reach out and be heard. And hopefully anyone listening to this, I hope to be hearing from you in the near future.
Thank you. Thanks again, Karen. And it was great to see you again.
Oh, thank you, Rob.